Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. I'm going to do your June the 14th spiritual principle a day in a meditation. I am smiling ear to ear. I'm excited to actually get in here today and be able to do the podcast. I'm excited about that. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. The title of today's meditation is Faith in Spiritual Principles. Many of us use spiritual principles as a power greater than ourselves. That comes from It Works, the book It Works, step 2. We all have differing experiences with religion and belief when we arrive in NA. Some of us were raised in very religious families, attending mosque, temple, or church regularly, while others grew up in secular homes without much exposure to religion or spiritual matters. One member shared, "My parents were both scientists and atheists. In my family, exploring spirituality made me more of a rebel than using drugs did." We may show up at our first meeting with an attitude of intolerance toward all things spiritual, thinking that ideals like faith are total rubbish. Others of us may have rejected the ideal of spiritual principles because we associated them with the religion of our childhoods that failed to protect us from addiction. Or we came to NA with an open mind, eager to try something new or desperate to find something that would work for us. Regardless of our past experience with spiritual or religious matters, we all have work to do when we get here. We all need to learn to live in a principled manner. On the surface, it might seem like faith in a higher power should come easier to those of us who grew up with strong convictions about what that higher power is. In reality, the ability to act in faith can have very little to do with our beliefs, secular or religious. Part of acting in faith is giving up the illusion of control. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not, every principle discussed in this meditation book is a force beyond our control. We can allow the power of principled action to guide us, or we can struggle to use our own power to control our lives. Step 2 does not say we came to believe in a power greater than ourselves. It says, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. It doesn't matter much whether we understand how or why. We consistently get better results from principled action when we do than we do from self-will. Let me repeat that. It doesn't matter much whether we understand how or why. We consistently get better results from principled action than we do from self-will. There you go. As we experience the results of living by spiritual principles, we come to believe that sanity, peace of mind, and connection to ourselves and others is possible for us. There are countless forces in life that I may never fully grasp. I will place my faith in spiritual principles because I know they work, even if I don't always know how or why. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Faith and spiritual principles. I love this meditation. I love this meditation. It sets things straight in regards to the topic of spirituality versus religiosity. It is very inclusive. It's talking about individuals that maybe come from a very religious background and are struggling with having faith in their life today, or individuals that didn't come from a religious background, came from maybe a very secular background. And the topic of faith or spiritual principles seemed like a rebellious act, right, towards their families, traditions, right? And so this is something that I think everyone can benefit from. I think that it's important to me to mark this as a 5-star so that I can come back to it and look at it again whenever I might find myself wrestling with some concepts. Because here, just like in the Just for Today meditation, talking about faith and being able to actually use it rightly is a different conversation than saying that you're religious. It's a different conversation than saying I'm spiritual minded, because having faith is where the rubber meets the road, because it has to have some fruit. It has to have a result that comes from it. If I'm having faith to be able to put triple antibiotic on my son's thumb and a Band-Aid without my stomach getting weak, okay, I mean, it's possible. It's very possible that that is not something that I actually need a whole lot of faith for. Okay, compared to um knowing I need breaks and having faith that this is going to be taken care of and soon. Regardless to what the bank account says, I need breaks and this has to take place in order for me to continue to do the things I'm doing. Travel for the internship for one, take care of my boys for two, right? So the faith requirement is a bit different in both those situations. However, just saying I have faith for something is not what we're talking about here. The spiritual principles are spiritual in nature, right? They can be applied in nearly every area of our life. Faith may not be the principle we need for every situation. Maybe hope is, trust, belief, honesty, open-mindedness, willingness. There's always going to be spiritual principles that we can have faith in, and believing that those spiritual principles are powers greater than ourselves. In the spirit of this second step, I don't need to have all the answers all the time. I don't need to know how honesty works. Well, be honest no matter what, right? I don't have to understand why honesty is so powerful. But when I'm dishonest and I see the pain when someone realizes that I've been dishonest in their eyes, and I see that, I get a glimpse of why being honest is more beneficial for a relationship, right? Or a friendship or a work relationship, whatever it is. I understand that clearly. I don't need to know how and why all the time. But if the fruit that I'm looking for, if I see that as an end result, then that is like a feather in my cap. That is proof that it works. And I use that down the road for the next time that I might not want to be honest. I use that down the road and say, no, you're going to communicate honestly what you feel. Because not communicating honestly what you feel has a whole nother box of mess related to it. Because eventually you have to cross that road. So why not cross it now? See, this faith and spiritual principles is a very powerful meditation because it helps us to put things in perspective in our humanness. No, I don't have to have all of the answers right now. I was talking to someone that I deeply admire, a mentor of mine, and she was saying, I don't understand why there is so much pressure with this university to perform. In other words, she was saying, she didn't use those exact words, but she basically was saying life is a walk, a journey. This is progress, not perfection. And creating this anxiety over people doesn't feel spiritual or godly at all. And she was sympathizing with me, right? And understanding the level of pressure that I feel. And so I just want to say that this isn't a race like that. Recovery is not a race like that. Oh, who's going to get to the finish line and what? Get your infinity medallion? Okay, so what are we talking about here? This is a race to do what? To perfection? No, no, it's not a race like that. This is a journey that we get to be on. It's an honor to have recovery in our lives today. And we get to learn more about ourselves and how we relate to others. And we get to learn how to use spiritual principles to our benefit instead of avoiding them because we have so much pride, we don't want to admit that we don't have all of the answers. I like this one sentence here that says, part of acting in faith is giving up the illusion. Right here. Part of acting in faith is giving up the illusion of control. That's huge. Takes a lot of humility, I'll tell you that, to do that. And today I hope that for you. I hope that you have what you need to be able to have faith in these spiritual principles and apply them in all your affairs. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. Hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose. I intend to, and I will be talking to you tomorrow.